All right, hello YouTube. Back for day 6, and we'll start with Rich Owen's description of the task, a little bit of social, and now the race. The CD decided to separate the weak from the strong and set a fairly big task, 608 kilometers. It had one little wrinkle in it, or trick, that I thought a lot more people would get caught on, but I don't think anyone did. We'll have to look and see. The task didn't open until 2:30, and if you think about it, 608 is a little longer than what we've been doing. It's been high 500s at the top end. Rich didn't think that we could do it, but finally we got out. I think there was a little bit of roulette this day with such a long racing task, but really this is the kind of task that you could start in a big gaggle and break the gaggle. The top pilots will break that gaggle, and they did, so no big deal. Start ahead, let them try and chase you, and eventually you break them off. 2 lines over the high ground on the way down south. I'm not sure where Rich went, but basically 9 Bravo, 7 Tango, Alpha 8, and several of the good pilots just kind of went down the middle again. It was really, at these speeds, big deviations, they have to give you a significantly higher climb average or extended line of lift to make up for the big deviation. It's really a good lesson here on how few of the pilots have successfully been able to drive a major deviation. You can do that when the average speeds are 50 miles an hour, but you can't do it when it's 100 plus. The left side clouds had better climbs, and the cloud bases are higher. So it sounds like Rich drifted to the right there, or the west a little bit, headed south. Running the first turn point, which is the first turn point in the south, I believe, but it could be this one in the middle that I think was a little bit of a trick that the task advisors left in. I'll show you that. Kept us moving towards the third turn point. Okay, so there was a line of clouds to the left. I'll try and show you what I think he's talking about there. The third leg was a 200-kilometer fast high cloud street that had everyone talking about it when they returned to the ground, and this was intense. And one of the things that I've noticed, because I've been looking at these flights pretty carefully, is how fast the JS3s were in this condition. And the Venice 3, Hotel 7, had some really fast flying, but I felt like I was flying a Grove 103 at times when these guys came by. We were basically bumping along with pretty high glide ratios underneath the street. Overspeed warnings. It was pretty intense. This street took you a beam the fourth turn point, and let's see. It sort of separated the top competitors. The last 2 turns, there was a lot of gain made by some of the leaders, and really, it all came down, I think, to the last 30% of this task. Okay, so John Seaborn was third, Rick and Drebo second. One thing of note is Rick and Drebo, sorry, Rick. He led from the beginning to the end and was second, barely second. And that's pretty impressive in these conditions and in this kind of a day. I mean, a lot of it was under a street, okay, that's fine, but he still had to find the climbs on his own, and he was barely slower than Andy Blackburn, who did 106.39, 171.22, absolutely unbelievable speed for a 600 plus mile racing task, and that was really impressive. Now, one thing to note, Andy started late and stayed with a lot of people ahead of him throughout the entire task, and he won. Rick led from the front, which is macho and impressive, But the risk was much higher for him, and he easily could have gotten stuck, even though these conditions were so strong. There were people who got caught out. In fact, there were even some landouts today. So I had the lead at this point. I was flying very consistently, and thank you for the kind words, Rich. And Andy Blackburn won the fastest speed for the 18-meter nationals, probably the fastest speed in any 18-meter U.S. nationals, and won the Charlie Light Minner Trophy. All right, so let's kick it over to CU and take a look at the task. And this is the wrinkle that I'm talking about right here, this Monroe Peak turn point. And these are only 0.5 kilometer radius turn points. So it was a trap. It would be very easy for someone to blow by this and get either 20 kilometers past it before they realize that they missed it because the computer hasn't cycled to the next turn point, or just miss it entirely and think that there was a problem. I think they really should have just made this straight. But maybe they were trying to keep us on the high terrain somehow. But that was, when I saw this task sheet, I thought, oh boy. So I really made sure that I remembered that. Way down here to Bryce Woodlands. And just so you know, that's Parowan right there. And this is all Bryce Canyon around here. So this is a huge leg. And this one was 200 kilometers. So this one is 200 kilometers plus. I actually pulled up Sky Vector and just drew it out, 133 nautical miles. And then if I zoom in right here, you can see Parowan right there, Beaver Municipal, and Cedar City, which is a regional airport. And then just for the fun of it, I will zoom out so you can see where we are in the world. I really enjoy Sky Vector. There's Lake Tahoe, and you can see how long that task is. All right, so again, southwest start, Monroe Peak, right here, very tricky. Bryce Woodlands Estates, then Griffin Top, we're here, Browns Peak, Big Baldy, and back to the finish. And I playing around here with just sort of seeing where the grid positions were for the day. I was pretty much in the middle, maybe slightly to the back. And I think I can zoom in here and we can look at it again. A couple people already in the air, AA, PM, 8-9, Victor 1. So they're either sniffers. I can't remember if there were sniffers on this day. 8-9er had a long day in the cockpit. So these launches took a good hour. And you could see Alpha Golf, Sierra, 1 Charlie, 2 Tango, 7 Tango, Hotel 7. And in the back was Zulu Oscar, David Leonard, Tango 8, Papa Mike, Victor 1, and 9 Bravo, the task winner. So they got to rest back here while everybody else was up there waiting. All right, let me zoom out. And we'll go fast through the starting sequence up until we see the dip here. And get going. All right, so we'll zoom out here. And you can see everybody is launching at this point. And the step down is coming, looks like here. So there were clouds today, and it wasn't blue. But the nature of the group for a racing task for some reason is to coagulate together into a big group, trying to keep an eye on who's starting, trying to keep an eye on the risk. I certainly don't want to be first. Some guys do. but I certainly don't want to be last, unless it's a real condensed group and everybody goes and you're able to wait 5 or 6 minutes and be last. But the starters are probably over 20 or 30 minutes. There's 7 Tango and Juliet Lima, John Luban. We're up to 13,000. And maybe this is the step down to 12,000 right here. And you can see people aren't really getting very high, not even to 15,000. So it's a little weak here at this point. And here's the step down. So the CD has called the start, and you can see the first starters right here. So probably 15 minutes. They probably did it at 2:20. And it looks like the first starters are going to be at 2:35. So I'm going to slow it down. And we don't have any starters yet, but they're just about to go. So checking in, huge gaggle. Oh my gosh. That is a lot of people sitting there sort of poised just north of the starting line. Richard mentioned that somebody did a fake start here to kind of get people going. I'm not sure that was the case, but so this again, these data here are in order by top 10 for the day. So 9 Bravo, 8 Niner, Alpha 8, 7 Tango, 2 Tango, Delta Golf, 1 Charlie, Hotel 7, Juliet Lima, Papa Mike, and Zulu Oscar. Let's turn this to 2D and bring this down just so we can save that space. And zoom this back in. So we're poised here just before the start. A little bit of fake starting out here, trying to show the group some flarm hits, but these guys are probably seeing you. This is just, at least it's a racing task, but the open start is, I guess, a necessary evil, but is quite annoying. So I jump back into that group. Alpha 8 goes, and 9 Bravo go a little farther out. But that's a big gaggle. That's 20% of the gliders. Looks like someone has already taken off out there. Hotel Whiskey and Victor Whiskey. Also, who's that? Alpha is out. And everybody is just about getting ready to go here, as you can see. And make sure that this is slowed down just a little bit. Alpha 8's coming back. It's 2:40 in the afternoon. Juliet Lima goes, Zulu Lima goes, Tango 8 goes. A couple fake starts there. You can see people jumping out and then coming back. All right. Romeo Fox, Papa 7. Zulu Lima's going to the right. 8 Niners going to the right initially. Basically, this is a valley looking south. There's the desert. You can see that over there to the right. High ground here, and high ground here that you can basically snake into the center. A lot of the top guys are going to go straight across to this high ground and then get on the high ground there. The wind is northwest 331 at 22 kilometers per hour. So it's this direction right here. And you can see people are scattering. People going hard right, people going hard left, people going down the middle. And that is a big group. Let's look from underneath here. And none of these people have started yet. Still haven't started. So pretty good wait here. I don't know how long that was, but I'm guessing 5 to 10 minutes. 2 Hotel takes off kind of at the wrong time there because you have a big group right behind you. That's a difficult place to be, but if you sort of think in the Tour de France world, some of these guys have, let's look at their distance. Papa 7, for example. Papa 7, where are you? Papa 7 is in the top 10, but there's distance task. So 8-9er 19K down the task so far. He's been on task for, I don't think we have that. No, I would say, yeah, about 5 minutes, let's say. So this is the game. And it's anybody's guess because this is an awful long task. But there goes the core of the group. Alpha 8, Hotel 7, Bravo 4, who in 15 meter today, Bruno Vassal was top 10, I believe. I don't know why is that in there. Maybe that's another day that I'm thinking about. But Zulu Oscar 1 Charlie. So this is a good group. Romeo 9. But there's still some people waiting. And you'll notice 9 Bravo is still sitting back. So 9 Bravo is going to be a good 35, 40 kilometers behind 8-9er, who was one of the early starters. He's in second place overall right now, I believe. Whoops. Yeah, that's what we want. Sorry. Yeah, so Rick Indrabo is in second right now. At the end of this day, he's in second with the second overall today. Okay, so we're off. Average LDs for the first glide, and starting pretty low, 12,000. So not super high starts. Yeah, if you look here, maybe the mid-13s, high 13s. So it's a little bit lower at this point. It's 2:40 in the afternoon, now 2:50, almost 3 o'clock, and we have 600 kilometers to go. To sort of give you an idea of the mindset. And still, some of these guys are waiting back a little bit. Okay. Zoom this out just a little bit. You can see here on the 2D that we kind of have a left group going further to the east, led by 9-0. And here's the big fast gaggle coming down the middle. And then here are some of the other starters. And here's 8-9er and Zulu Lima going to the west. So quite a difference of opinion here. And these deviations are pretty big. I mean, that's probably 10 to 15K right there. And this is probably 15 to 20K here to get onto this high terrain. Interesting. I thickened up the task lines today because they were very hard to see. Hopefully that helps. Eight-niner just had a 389 to 1 glide ratio in this glide right here. So he has very good air over there, much better than the air that we're in, 88, 99 to 1. But he had to deviate to get there. Tango 8 and Bravo 4 are flying the 18-meter nationals and 15-meter gliders. They did a really good job. And at these speeds, the differences between the gliders are less than normal. 5.6, 6.1. So Alpha 8 hit a couple turns here. Let's see, Alpha 8's the orange, and left, and then found us 6 meters a second. Pretty strong climb, probably the strongest of the day. And that's going to catch us up quite a bit. And you can see sort of looking laterally across the line, 8-9 is still ahead, 8-9er is still ahead up at 15.5, 15.2, and we're climbing through 13.5 and 13.3 respectively here, so he still has his lead, but that's going to help. And you can see how quickly we're ascending as some of the trailers come in. Maybe I'm going to kick it over here so we can watch 8-9er and Zulu Lima. Nine zero is going deep, deep, deep up into this high terrain on the first leg. If we kick it over to data really quick, this is something I haven't been doing in these videos because it's kind of a long conversation. Excuse me, data. And then we go to task, and this is for 7 Tango. You can see over 687 kilometers done, but obviously a 610 kilometer task. Only 10 thermals, and an average climb of, where's the average climb? 3.9 meters per second. And the wind generally out of the north to northwest today. That's pretty awesome. 4 left, 6 right, 9 misses, and then let's go over to, let's say, 9 Bravo and look at his task. He did 12 thermals, 3.7, but I'm going to guess, look at his mean LD, 89. So he didn't win because he found better climbs. He won because he had better glides. And I'm going to tell you that there's evidence in this review that the JS3s are hyper strong in this condition. Lots of flying in streets over the tops of these clouds going north and south. And I'm just going to kick it back over here. First, JS3. Second, Rick and Drebo, kind of an outlier. Third, JS3. Fourth, ASG29, Sean Fidler, kind of an outlier. Then fifth, JS3. Sixth, JS3. Where's seventh? Seventh, JS1. Eighth, where's eighth? Ventus 3M. And Biff ripped my lungs out in a run down the fourth leg today. Really, really high performance. These new airfoils were owning the long extended lines of running in lift, so under streets, under like kind of wave or high ridge lift over the mountain peaks. Super, super fast. 9th, ASG29, John Lubon. 10th, ASG29. But anyway, a lot of JS3s near the top today, and you could see I could see their performance, and I walked away from this one kind of thinking that was crazy. All right, this drives me crazy, SSA, when so there's 2 PMs here, and they're a little bit red shifted, so I'm going to try and delete, it looks like, the green one, because the SSA, the green one. The SSA's wind score compiles all the flights that were given, and my understanding is you're only supposed to have one flight that you offer the score, and maybe the rules were different at this time, but it's really annoying because I have to go through and delete those flights because it makes wind score run quite slowly. So maybe we could all eliminate that and just have one clean flight, and maybe wind score could strip out the time zone and save the file that way somehow, so we don't have to do it manually. But and 2 for 9 Bravo as well. All right, so I'm going to kill the blue one because the red one is the one that we're scoring here. So let's do that. So let's go down to the blue, and there should be this one. Remove. Takes a long time to massage these things. All right. So you can see how far back 9 Bravo is now that we're scanned on him. I think 7 Tango's up here. So far, 9 Bravo has distance task 65, 7 Tango is 80. So that's 15 kilometers, and he's at 15.4, and I'm at 14.4. So 1,000 feet, 15 kilometers. He's a little behind, and he started a little behind, so net equal, so to speak, at this point. So catching up to Papa 7, Tango 8, and Juliet Lima a little bit. And this is an interesting point. Papa 7, Juliet Lima, Hotel Whiskey, jump across this way. Alpha 8, Alpha Golf, Hotel 7, Victor Whiskey, and 8-9er for that matter are coming down this side a little while longer, getting lift maybe that's forming in the lee of this high terrain. This is the sort of top of the ridge line, and getting thermals here coming off of that side. That's been a fast way to go through the mountains the last several days. You can see 9 Bravo to us, and 9 Bravo is basically one of the last starters, it looks like. The task winner for the day, Andy Blackburn. And here's the big trick. As you're going, you're in your flight computers, you're working hard, you're flying, it'd be very easy to miss that point in the melee, and I was very worried about that. Here you can see 9-0, an early starter, and he's coming back into the fold after basically coming off the starting line, heading over here and coming down. And clearly he lost a little bit on that. .7 meters a second. Nine Bravo comes into the bottom of that climb, so he's kind of catching us. He's within range. He's able to get to the bottom of our climbs just after we've left, while the trailers are in the climb. So he's in a good position to catch up, and he leaves almost immediately. So 9 Bravo is pretty low. He's only 1,500 feet below us, but he was 1,000 feet below us. So he's fallen back just a little. Look at, nobody's really low. Bravo 4 is a little low, kind of on the ridge there, which is pretty high risk. All right, that's lateral, so that's looking due east. .9 meters a second, 5.2 for Alpha 8. So this is kind of easy running right now. We're in a fast group. Obviously, Alpha 8 started first. He's doing most of the work. It's thinning out into a 3-man group here. We're catching the guys ahead, and things are hunky-dory. And velocity, task average, 160 for 7 Tango, 159.5 for Alpha 8, 165 for 8-9er off the front, which is really amazing, and 167, almost 168 for 9 Bravo. So considerably, with the exception of PM, Noah Wade here, and Romeo 9, these are the fastest guys. And Andy is in a better position because look at all the markers he carries. We're running out of markers, kind of, and the easy climbs are kind of over. But, yes, Alpha 8's doing a lot of the work, but we're in a good tactical position here. And one of the things that seems to happen is the group thins out pretty quickly. So you want to go fast. You want to be with some other fast pilots, and eventually you can leave a pretty large group, if you remember the start, behind, and gain some time. So you don't necessarily have to worry about it. You just have to be confident in your own flying. And when you're the one pulling up into the good air, the fresh good air, and you're 3 or 4 or 5 minutes behind the leaders, eventually you get caught in that bubble has changed. It's not as strong as what they had. Sometimes it works in reverse, and the guys behind get stronger air, but that's kind of luck. but the fast guys can just sort of naturally break off the group. Also, the big group behind is fighting each other. They're all at the same altitude. They're struggling to get organized in the climbs, and this group of 2 or 3 is still very efficient. If Alpha 8 turns and finds a miss or misses some, is clearly searching, 7 Tango and Hotel 7 will search the other way and sweep a wider angle efficiently. If there aren't any cores, they'll move on. But this is an efficient way to fly. 8-9er does have company up there. I'm not sure who that is. Hotel Whiskey, maybe. But one negative here is we're kind of almost running out of people in front of us. We do have a nice group in front of us, but you can sort of see what I mean. And Alpha 8 a lot of times was doing that. He was starting near the front and quickly, completely by himself off the front. I guess I'm doing the same thing here. Another thing, you got a lot of people are going to say, "Oh, you're leeching." Well, I'm keeping an eye on Alpha 8, who's arguably the best pilot, but I cannot run with Alpha 8. A JS3, he's going 270 kilometers right there. I'm going 268, so I'm pushing to hold with him. But JS3s are impossible to run with in this condition because they basically go red line, they have more wing loading, and they're very, very clean, fast, modern gliders. They are rocket ships. And so it's very difficult to stay with him. He just wants to go 20 knots faster. I continued throughout the course of this contest. Obviously, we're getting 10-knot climbs to push as hard as I could. I can go as fast as him, but I will lose altitude. And I was often better being a little slower, working hard on extending my glide as much as I could. And that was a lower risk situation for me than constantly plunging down below him and trying to catch up in the climbs. But I was convinced after this contest that if I only flew contests in Nephi, I would have to have a JS3 because I think they're considerably superior in this locale. Zoom out a little bit. So this group is definitely in the chase of each other. You can see here there's another group forming. Zulu Oscar Bravo 4 981 or PM Noel Wade, excuse me. And some of the stragglers back here. You can see 9-0 really got hurt on that excursion over to the other side. And he started ahead of this group by about 3 or 4 minutes and has lost what looks like 6 or 7 or 8 minutes. There's 8-9er off the front. Another small gaggle here. And you can see here we're getting down in the vicinity of our first turn. And Parawan is right over here to give you all, at least the U.S. pilots who've flown in the West, a sense of distance here. So it's like 135 miles down to this first turn. Zoom in just a little. I'm just going to go back to that climb so I can get a climb rate. Oh, it was a miss. Okay. So somebody came up here at a pretty good angle, but for whatever reason, it didn't work for us. Zulu Lima, it appears. Um, 96 for 7 Tango, 48 for Alpha Lima. What is Zulu Lima doing? I don't have his data, but cruising along pretty good. I also thought on this day and in a lot of days, Biff Haas was flying very well. He had really good performance in a straight line and obviously climbing. So the Venice 3 was pretty impressive today as well, even though it's giving away a little wing loading to the JS3. Zulu Lima hits another climb there. He's finding them. 9 Bravo is just creeping up. Velocity task average now 181.4 on this leg. So he's he's already 3 or 4K per hour faster than anyone else. And he started towards the end, and he's just grinding through this group. It may not be macho, guys. It may not be macho, but it is effective, and it is part of the game. And I don't think there's any way to factor it out of the equation. So, okay, a little pull up here. 4.2 meters, 3.6. Another very good climb. Ooh, an 8-9er comes into this there. Oh, 8-9er was coming out. Oh, you lucky dog, Rick. So 8-9er came in from the turn and found our 4 meter a second climb, came into it, and gets 5.1 from the bottom. 9 Bravo's back here in 5.8. That's 11 knots. That's the strongest climb I've seen yet today. That might be the strongest climb that I've seen at all. So we were on the top of it, or it cycled, and he comes into the same climb as 7 Tango and Alpha 8, and goes up at almost 6 meters a second. That's pretty impressive. All right. Slow this down a little bit because a lot goes on here. Here's our bottom turn point. There's the lead 8-9er has. Romeo Fox is coming down outside the turn to another climb. He might be lower. A little trouble there. No, he's not too low. So I'm taking the turn point here. 9 Bravo is bending around, bumping a cloud. 9 Fox, Robin Clark is going around. And Papa 7, Hotel 7. So you can just sort of see the race down to the first turn. One of the fastest guys right now appears to be 1 Charlie. Or no, that's Dave Coggins at 179.9. 1 Charlie at 173, 7 Tango at 171. Interesting. So at this point, I'm a little ahead of Alpha 8. We're at 14,500. Alpha 8 at 14,100. A lot of deviation and scrambling down here. 2 Tangos out ahead and above. 2 Tangos ripping at this point. 175. So 2 Tango is faster than I am by 2K. .4 meters a second for 2,500. Alpha 8 gets 3.3 for 2,400. So a nice top-off climb. And what we're doing here, if I zoom out, and there's Bryce Canyon Airport and Bryce Canyon. So we are getting ready to go over to this turn, but there's 2 choices. There's a line of clouds over here, and there's a couple good clouds over here. This is upwind. The wind's this direction. 8-9er, Hotel 7. This group is taking this line. Zulu Lima is taking that line. And as we all come up here, we are trying to make our decision as to what we want to do. 2 Tango making the left turn. Dave Coggins making the left turn. Papa 7 making the right turn. And out we go at 16,000. And I think 9 Bravo wanted to go center or left, and I drug him over there. But I lose here pretty bad. Papa 7 changes his mind mid-crossing. Alpha 8 is right with me, same altitude, 9 Bravo. So this sequence is not one that I really want to show, but Alpha 8 has already gained a little bit. For whatever reason, 168 to 1 versus my 63 to 1. He makes this turn, and it's just better air for whatever reason. And it's also arguably more on course, because we're going to go quite downwind here to do this. Papa 7 bails out early. A little climb and a miss there, so wasted 2-3 turns, so 1-2-3 kph, something like that. Another miss. And if already Alpha 8-1 Charlie are at 16.2 and 16.5, and I'm at 14.198. So I've lost 2,000 feet in that sequence from here to here on Alpha 8. And frankly, I just didn't see it, but it sure looks like the rest of the group did, as everybody's following this line. And here you have Papa 7, Zulu Lima, 9 Bravo, and 7 Tango. Now, I was fourth, he was first. Zulu Lima, I think, had an okay day, but this one bothers me. Because that's a lot of loss in a very quick period of time. And you can see here I'm realizing it. I'm trying to move over as best I can. 9 Bravo is trying to move over as best I can. And maybe there was a cloud here because these guys are switching across. But just to report in here, but 9 Bravo lost his butt 2. Alpha 8's at 15.2, and we're down at 13, so that's 2,250 feet. And 9 Bravo exactly the same. Basically, he's 50 feet higher than I am. So it can happen very, very quickly in this game where you can lose huge amounts of time and get into trouble very, very quickly. So now we're coming back into a racing turn point, consolidating that gain. Congratulations to Alpha 8 and 1 Charlie, who kicked ass. And they're even stopping in and topping off for a little bit more here, maybe. Let's see, what do they got? At least that was a miss. And I'm pushing on low right onto this ridge and this high ground with Papa 7 and Hotel 7. 9 Bravo looks like he might have had a miss here. But I hated this sequence here, this last 5 or 10 minutes. Look at Alpha Hotel Whiskey. These guys are going up in a big climb. 1 Charlie, 5 meters a second. DG, 4.3 meters a second. So just an awful line. And frankly, Alpha 8 and these guys probably screwed up. If they would have come in here, they would have had us by an even bigger amount. So racing task, I started just behind Alpha 8, and he could have opened up a huge lead here. 1 Charlie could have opened up a pretty big lead here. 9 Bravo and 7 Tango took a little punch in the chin here, but we get back up and keep fighting. So there's the next turn point right there, and this I'm kind of proud of. So down super low, a little bit stressed. I know one of my key competitors are much higher than me. I wasn't really sure where they were, in front or behind. But I knew 5 meters a second was the goal here, that there was strong lift, and this is the beginning of that long street back to the north. This is the killer leg where we had incredible speed, and Papa 7 is sitting here. Papa 7, great competitor. I flew right, let me get down on this so you can see, right through his climb, slow it down to 1 here for a second. And what do I get here? A pulse of 3, 4, 9. But Papa 7 is only averaging, I think he's averaging 2. And I think part of that 9 in the Vario is the pull-up. But if I scroll up here to Papa 7, where are you, Papa 7? There he is. He's only at 2.2 meters a second. It would have been very, very tempting to take that climb. I'm not going to say I'm a little desperate, but I definitely need a climb here. Hotel 7's continuing to press on as well. He probably went right through the same area. But anyway, I push on. And I'll speed it up just a little bit. And I know I need more. And maybe it was the next cloud, I can't remember what, but here's 6 meters a second. And Hotel 7 only gets 4.7. So I do a really good job of grabbing this climb. 2 Tango and Alpha 8 come in on top of the same climb. I was downshifted to maybe 3rd gear. They were still in 5th gear up high. And they also get pretty strong climbs here. We got to go forward just a little bit to see what they end up getting. Oh, I may have to make a big reverse, but I still get 6 meters a second. Spend 3 minutes in it. Alpha 8 gets 5.3, and Hotel 7 4.7. So anyway, I was kind of prideful of this because we're gonna pull ahead of Papa 7. DG takes off. 9 Bravo is going to come in a little lower. But he puts his JS3 powers on here in a minute. All right, so all of that has kind of created the situation where 2 Tango, who I think started a little behind, is out ahead. 2 Tango's at 166. I'm at 163, so he's gained just a little bit. Alpha 8's at 166. 8 Niners at 172, and 9 Bravo is at 169. Even though he's a little behind, he started quite a bit behind, so he's already gained quite a bit. And then we're off to the races. We're up at 16,000, 17,000 for 2 Tango. We're right up at the top of the airspace. And off to the races. And this is explosive conditions under a huge street. And we'll watch 9 Bravo and Hotel 7 for a while. 2 Tango's a JS3, 1 Charlie's a JS1, Alpha 8's a JS3, Zulu Lima is an ASG 29, DG is a JS3, I believe. Yes, JS3. So 114, 124, 196 to 1. Really, really strong conditions. And the glide distance here is 90K for 7 Tango, 2 Tango, DG, and Alpha 8. So really long glide. And a really high glide ratio considering we're pushing along into the wind a little bit at 260, 245. I'm always slower, 236. 2 Tango a little slower. Average ground speeds right here. Let's see, 9 Bravo and 8 Niner and Alpha 8 faster. Yeah, I guess I'm pretty close to the same average ground speed. But it sure felt like they were flying faster. I'm going to kick it over so we can see the numbers a little bit better. 8 Niner still living off the front. He's at 15.6. Really going fast, although some people have a little fast. 9 Bravo has a considerably faster average speed here. So while it's super impressive to do this off the front, 9 Bravo has had more help, and he's got a lot of fantastic help right in front of him. And his starting position is a phenomenal place to be, and he wins a 610-kilometer racing task. Pretty impressive, though, that Rick Ingerbo was second off the front. I'm not going to lie. Zulu Lima and DG going left. Alpha 8 2 Tango 1 Charlie, Hotel 7 and 7 Tango going kind of the back side of the plateau here. And I believe there were 2 streets. You can see the desert out here, and this is the high plateau. And really, this is just cloud reading, but overall, probably would have been better to be here. But for whatever reason, the streets were well to leeward of this high terrain, which was typical of the Wasatch Plateau, with a west or northwest wind. You can see this is the lead group, 8-9er, and then there's a small group forming here with Romeo Fox, R9, but the lead gaggle is definitely forming. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, and Zulu Lima is sort of included in that group. We'll go just a little faster. Eight niner 43-1. I was just noticing he looked like he was pushing really hard here. So maybe he's going through a little sink at that point. It's a pretty big deviation there to the right, as you can see right here on the 2D. But 3.2, 4.1 meters a second, a good strong climb. Alpha 8 and 2 Tango, JS3s, JS1, Venice 3, and then 7 Tango and 9 Bravo, and you can see that 4 or 5K that I had with 9 Bravo is bye-bye. Hotel 7's also pulling out ahead, and under this lift, every time there was a pull-up, I felt that there's considerable gain. And it was pretty frustrating. Maybe it was in my head, but that was definitely a challenge. Papa 7 is caught up, but he's super low. And he's going over to that climb. Big deviation. Zulu Oscar's catching up to our group, but a little lower. $134-1. Alpha 8's doing 403-1. 222-1. 8-9ers up there doing negative 208-1. So maybe it's not the glider, but that is impressive. And look at the lead he's dragging out there. Wow. So shoulder to shoulder with 9 Bravo here, but yeah, I remember at some of these points I didn't want to be even next to him because it was clear that even the slight separation, there was better air. It was just a very narrow spot where the air was the best. Alpha 8 is really stepping on the gas. Pulling ahead of 2 Tango a little bit. And look at 9 Bravo. Just booking. 222-1 to my 134-1. That's pretty impressive. Alpha 8 is stopped and is in a 4.2 meter a second thermal. but just takes a couple quick turns. And the reason that he didn't gain very much there is it's just we're right up at cloud base, and there's not really any reason to do circles at this point. We're basically just running the street and not really losing any altitude. Look at 9 Bravo just fly away. No turns. Here I am. I have task distance 460, and yeah, he's 1.2 kilometers ahead, or a mile ahead, just flying faster and at the same LD. Hotel 7 is doing the same thing. DG's at JS3 29. Hotel Whiskey. What is Hotel Whiskey? I'm not sure. Alpha Alpha. 1 Charlie's really pulling out ahead with Alpha 8 and 2 Tango. It's a JS1. I felt like the new gliders had an advantage in this condition. So 9 Bravo takes a turn, loses that advantage, which is sort of the reality of glider racing. And we're 150 meters apart there, I'd say. So these gains forward are almost useless. You miss 1 or 2 turns, and the guys that you've pulled ahead of catch up, and you have to be almost flawless to leave a group. And this is why it is so important to keep an eye on these ultra-fast gliders. If you let them go, you're just letting them be free of, in a group, especially in a fast group. If you let them go and you do another thing, that fast group is so fast together, there's almost no way to control that. 8-9er is doing it, but it's ultra high risk to do what he's doing right now. You can see we're all way off to the east on this turn. 8-9er's almost at the turn, but we're all taking the street down here, and at some point we're going to bend in, sort of similar to how Zulu Lima did it the other day at the turn that we had back here. We're all flying a little bit extra distance here. 8-9er probably did a better job of staying on course. But these guys gain in these faster gliders, these JS3s, but unless they pull into 6 knots, they don't consolidate any lead, because they're spending more time turning. There's another miss for Alpha 8, and now they go to the turn point. I remember this is the end of the street. There were no more clouds, and 2 Tango is going to the last cloud. The street is dying, and there's another cloud down here off the end. But at this point, Alpha 8, Juliet Lima, 1 Charlie, Alpha Alpha, and Hotel 7 decide it's time to go. Alpha 8 thinks about going with 2 Tango here, maybe, or he hit a bump, but it didn't look like he made any vertical move there. But everybody's going to the turn point. Hotel Whiskey has done a different line here, and he's almost the same altitude. But this was an interesting part of the task here. I remember feeling pretty small at this point, like, oh boy, I am in a slow glider. I wasn't. It was mostly in my head, but I do think they have a slight advantage. 2 Tango missed and comes back to the turn. You can see 8-9er on course here in the next leg. And it's 2.8 meters a second. So we're going out into the valley, off the high ground. It's going to be weaker. You've got to slow down and really find a few good climbs here. We're not far off final glide, 13.7. Probably need another 2,000 feet to get on to a normal final glide. And at this point, 9 Bravo is at 171. So clearly the fastest now at this point. Alpha 8's at 169. 2 Tango's at 169. 7 Tango's at 166. But DG, 1 Charlie, and Hotel 7 are all at 168. So the deck shuffles here a little bit. I'm K.5 mile or kilometer per hour slower than these guys. Hotel Whiskey and Alpha 8 on a big deviation there. Looking up from the top, that's a good 30, 35 degrees. So let's see how this plays out. And just real quick, looking back, there's a pretty big gap back there. This is the fast train. All right, so Alpha 8 and Hotel Whiskey get a miss there. And you notice the glide averages are starting to come down a little bit for some of us. Like 8-9ers doing 29 to 1 over there for this next glide, which might be his final glide at this point, but they're not extraordinary. And that was the stop for these guys. Let me go back a little bit and show you this. So 1 Charlie, 2 Tango, Hotel 7, 9 Bravo, and Alpha Alpha are in 1.3 meters a second for 2 minutes. 1 Charlie gets nothing there for a minute as he left. But basically, they take a very weak climb here. And where's Alpha Alpha? Not in the top 10. What's 9 Bravo got? Nothing. So basically a 1 to 2 minute stop for 1.3 meters a second, 2 knots, and 500 feet. So that could be the difference. But they are quite a bit higher than me. 2 Tango is at 10.9. Or sorry, 2 Tango is at 13 and I'm at 11. So 2,000 feet. It's definitely higher going into this area, but I hold on and get 3 meters a second, and then we all come in, and all of that lead that those guys have generated over the last 150 kilometers kind of goes kaput. So 7 Tango, I'm almost to Alpha Lima, ahead of on top of 1 Charlie, on top of 9 Bravo, although 9 Bravo started quite a ways behind. He's in a really good spot. Velocity average 168 versus my 164, so he's gained over 4 kilometers per hour on me at that point, or yeah, 4 kilometers per hour. 8-9er, almost to the turn point here, and he's on his final glide. Alpha 8 leaves first. He was a little bit above. And then I follow. And so does the gang. Hotel 7 lost a little bit there. Basically now the wind's out of the northwest, this direction, and my thought was to get over the ridge line here and then run that down into the turn. And get a little bit of extra altitude on the run into the final turn point. Get a little bump off of that climb. 31 to 1, 32 to 1. So all the final glides are pretty equal here. There was not a lot left to turn in, and I think the reason is this valley. I don't think you can see it if I zoom out, but this is Lake Provo here, and in a northwest wind, all the cold air from the lake gets blown down this valley and completely washes it out, especially at this late in the day. So that's why this was so suppressed, even though this is blocked off from that wind a little bit because of these mountains. These are quite big mountains here. This valley was extremely weak, and you couldn't rely on it. You needed to be to your final glide altitude before that. So you could see why that group might have taken 1.3 meters a second there. It was really important to be on final glide here. 8-9er's already finished. Very impressive, and I've caught right up to Alpha 8, although Alpha 8, I can't remember, he might have started just behind me. Let me look at that super quick. 53:40, and I'm at, whoops, start time. 48 and 48. So we basically started right together. In fact, I started slightly behind him, and he's gained slightly on me there. Not much. But he gets 987, and I get 983, so 4 points. And that was pretty big accomplishment considering the way those guys ran down that fourth leg to the north there. 9 Bravo makes it. A really fast final glide, and you can see how we kind of opened up on Juliet, Lima, 2 Tango, and 1 Charlie there in the final bit. I was pretty happy with this to finish third out of that group and fourth for the day. All right. So just really quick, let's go through the data. Whoops, hit the wrong one. All right, so task data, 12 thermals, average climb of 3.7 meters a second, but an 89 mean LD for Rick Ingerbro. That is very impressive. And second for the day, but completely on his own, almost the entire task. He's a mountain pilot, he's a rock star. That's what he's capable of doing, and that was a pretty amazing task. That I was incredibly satisfied just to be fourth. But to win, or to be second and almost win that was amazing. So good on you, 8-9er. So sorry, 9. I'm talking about 9 Bravo. 9 Bravo, 89 mean LD, 12 thermals. 8-9er, a 16 mean LD, 14 thermals, and that is probably a function of being first. But he flew only 652 kilometers. A little lower climb rate than some of us, but if you look at 9 Bravo flew 678, so 25 more kilometers, and 7 Tango 687, so 37 less kilometers than I did, even though I had a better glide and a little better climb rate. Rick Ingerbro flew a shorter distance, and that's pretty impressive. Alpha 8, 70 mean LD, 3.7, 14 thermals, but a total distance of 688. So, we basically ended up very similar numbers between the two of us. I had quite a bit less climbs, though, which I would normally think I would do a little bit better. Only 10 thermals versus 14 for Alpha 8. Anyway, that was a really cool day. The winner, 9 Bravo, task speed, I think he ends up being like 166. This doesn't read correctly. So if we go back to here, Andy Blackburn speed, 171.22. So we go back here, 171.84. So it's accurate within half a K. That is impressive. 8-9er, 170.87. And then Alpha 8, 169.6. And 7 Tango, 168.9. 2 Tango had a pretty good look at this, but lost a couple K there in the last bit. 16 thermals, so a few more thermals, a little lower climb rate, but a better LD than any of us. That's the highest that I've seen so far. So really good LD. David Coggins, excellent pilot, JS3, 91 mean LD, a little weaker climb average, and a pretty high distance. But there it is right there. That LD is amazing. 1 Charlie, 13 thermals, 3.7, 76, and towards the higher of total distance, higher range of total distance, 3.8, so a high climb average for Biff Huss, 14 thermals, 76 mean LD, and towards the higher side of a total distance. And yeah, so there's day 6. Pretty cool day. At the end of this day, I had a 100-point lead over Rick, and a 120-point lead over Andy, 135-point lead over Jim, and 150 points over, 170 points over John Seaborn. But John was still really the scary one, and you see why. He's so fast off the front, and obviously a very good strategic pilot, and he just had made that one mistake on that long area task, and that pretty much would have given him back all of those points. So he would be in the lead without that. Anyway, that's day 6. We'll get on to the next day here in the next day or two, and thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it.